Jenson Button, thank you for your time today. Formula One world champion and now purveyor of very, very nice automobiles with Anstead. How did you get into that?
Well, it was through Ant. Ant and Mark were already talking about Radford and our first car. And they got in touch with me and said, would you be interested? Initially I was a bit skeptical, as you would be, but after a couple of days talking it through with them and going down with them and meeting with them and Roger, the fourth part of Radford, they talked me into it, and I'm really, really happy that they did. The great thing is that every one of us is very passionate about what we're doing. We're all in our early 40s. We've just arrived in California in the last few years. We've all been about doing our own thing with different manufacturers over the years and reached kind of the top of what we do. And now this is like a fresh start for us. It's an exciting new challenge. And for me, it's something I can really sink my teeth into. You'd be involved in the setup of the car, the direction it goes, but also in terms of the design, because Mark's very open to opinions and the designer. So it's really good. He's so into it that sometimes he'll miss something. So it's good to just mention stuff. Sometimes he'll agree. Other times he goes, no, you're totally wrong. This is why it's like this. But that openness is why Radford is so good. And I think the passion that we all have as a small team is what gives this car not just looks, but it gives it a soul.
So Ant was telling me that part of that input was you widened the front track. Was that something you brought up?
Yeah, I mean we've because the tub, aluminium tub, is from an Exige. But everything else around it is changed. So we're quite a lot longer, 100 mil longer than Exige. And the reason for that was we want the car to be stable at high speed. So when you're cornering a longer car, it's more gradual, more of a gradual effect, whereas a short car is quite nervous. And we don't want that with this car because it's got 600 horsepower in this spec. So we've lengthened it. We've also, to give it the responsiveness at the front, so we've had to widen the track and play around with that as well, which isn't just putting in a spacer, it's the whole suspension that needs to change. So lots of changes that I've made that they were like, is it really necessary? I said, yes, if we want it to feel as good as it looks, we have to do these changes. So it's been really, really good, and I've really enjoyed that challenge of setting up a road car and getting it to feel great wherever you drive it. Normally it's just trying to get it to drive great on a circuit, but with this it needs to drive well on a circuit, it needs to drive well in for example, the canyons in California, and it needs to drive well on the motorway or the freeway. Like the 405 in LA is probably one of the bumpiest motorways in the world, so it's a great test bed for us. And when you drive this car, whatever situation you're in and wherever you are, you should be smiling, and that's the aim for me.
Absolutely, that's what motoring's all about, and at Hagerty that is our big thing. So in terms of the testing and the development, how did COVID impact on that?
We're quite lucky. We actually have our own test track. So we have a test track in I'll say Phoenix, Arizona, because people won't know the actual Chandler, the town. But it's a few hours away from home, but it's an easy flight straight in. We have a test track there, the Radford Racing School. So we've done a lot of testing with there, a lot of high temperature testing as well. It's like 110 Fahrenheit there most of the year round. So it's been put through its paces on track. Most of the testing has been done with this car with a naked body. The naked chassis, no body on it. But that's been all the pushing the car to the limits, setup work, and trying to get that balance that gives you a strong front end and good grip, but doesn't scare you when you're driving. It needs to give you confidence. But we've also done a lot of testing with the other car that doesn't look like this, but it has all the right bits on it, which is doing the thousands of miles of testing. Got the straight line testing as well, which is going to be done by Tegan, who's a girl that's she's done over 300 miles an hour on the salt flats, so she's got a few world records. So she's going to be doing the straight line testing, and I'll be doing all the circuit and road stuff. Okay, so if you're a prospective buyer of these, I know only 12 JPS are going to be made. More of the Gold Leaf, and is that more of a no, I don't want to say gentle car, but is that more of a touring car for somebody rather than a track car? I don't call any of them a track car. They need to work everywhere. But this is definitely lower, a little bit more aggressive. The power output is bigger, sort of 100 horsepower more than the Gold Leaf. But there's only 12 of these. There's only 12 of the Gold Leaf, and then the rest, the Classic, is up to the buyer. But a buyer can still buy this and do what they want with it,
Yeah, and we're saying that it is a bespoke product. How do you maintain that engineering and design integrity for somebody who can just come in and say, this is how I want my car?
Well, we don't do it alone. We do it with great partners. We also do it with Lotus. We will always pass something by them so that they're happy. This has got a Lotus badge on it. Everything has to be passed through Lotus in a positive way, and they're loving it. It's really nice to see their passion for this project as well. There's a really, really good partnership there. So, yes, we've had some interesting ideas, and some you have to tell them that it's not going to work, even if they want it really badly. We have the experience of how to make a car good and how to set up a car. So they do listen, which is key. But the idea of having 3 very different cars in terms of the technology on the car and also the aero and the carbon, what have you, it's to show the difference, with coach building. The power outputs are very different as well through the 3 models.
And we've got the Radford Minis, we've got the Radford shooting brakes. It's what people remember Radford for back in the day. What's next?
It's actually really exciting. The next car is British, and
you're going to give us an exclusive?
This is also British, but no, it's with another OEM, another manufacturer, which I'm really excited about. I've done quite a bit of testing already with it, so I'm excited. The thing is with Radford, back in the day, it was a coach builder, but they would never build their own complete car. It was more like the shooting brake DB5 that we have over there, the Minis, the hatchback Mini, which they did the first person to do a hatchback on a Mini. I mean, it sounds crazy, but this was for Ringo Starr to put his drums in there. And then you've got the Aston Martin DB5 lights on the green car, which is Paul McCartney's. So they did a lot of stuff in interiors, but we've gone a different route because we can, in terms of the technologies we have now and the 3D printing. So this is a completely carbon car that we have designed and built, which is really, really exciting. And the next one will be exactly the same, but it's not a sports car. Something different, but equally as exciting as this.
Well, I think it's fabulous for somebody who grew up with JPS Lotuses, and really that was my abiding memory of F1 in the 70s. That this thing is superb. So thank you very much, Jenson, for your time. Thank you for talking to Hagerty, and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, and thank you so much for the support as well.
My pleasure.